G'day, I'm Reese, founder of Fluid Movement Coaching, and today I'm going to go through the Fluid Movement System, which is a system that I developed over the years after working with over 120 clients, moving them out of their pain and into the activities they want to do and staying out of pain for good. So, this system is a step by step process, and what you'll find is that when you work with a lot of practitioners, they really just focus on the symptoms or where it hurts, right? But the fluid movement system goes a lot deeper than that. And it goes into finding why you're in that pain in the first place. So it gets to the root cause. And I've worked with a lot of athletes and high performance individuals, business owners, everyone from all different types of walk of life. And basically, I've found that there's a lot of similarities, and what you have to do to move out of that is the fluid movement system, which we'll get to in a moment. But basically, this system, even though it seems like a generic approach, it's very personalized and it's entirely built around you. So the fluid movement system is an acronym. It's ATME. So it's assess, tailor, monitor, and educate. And basically, with the assessments, what we're doing is we're really trying to find out the deep root cause of what's going on. And then understanding that, we can build the tailored programs, not only the physical, but the holistic lifestyle programs as well, around your needs, specifically to your pain and to the activities that you do. From that, we go into monitor, which is basically making sure that we're staying on track. Anything where we find like there's a bit of something's not quite working, we change it until something does work and we move through. And that's the importance of the monitoring and having a step-by-step process, is that as soon as we find that something's not working, we change it until something is working. And then education might have to be probably the most important step. And this step is really around beyond working with me and understanding what exercises you need to do to maintain good core activation and good posture, but also to have the right biomechanics for all your activities that you do on the day. So it might be something that you do for work, particular movements that you do. Well, it's making sure that you can do them efficiently and doing it without pain, and you're not relying on other practitioners having weekly visits or and doing that for years and years and still having the same pain. So this is about actually looking after yourself beyond working with me. So assessments. So if you aren't assessing, you're guessing. That's a very big quote that Paul Chek says a lot, and it's true. You can look at someone and you can make some assumptions, but really the testing is where it is where you find the issues. And it's not just testing, if you've got a sore knee, it's not just doing tests for the knee. It's working out, well, what else could be going on here? Is it poor core activation? Is it something to do with the hip? Is there something going on with the chest or the shoulder that's affecting the knee? So what generally happens is the assessments take out all the guesswork. And I do up to 3 hours of assessments with people, and that really gives me a very good picture of what's going on. So then it gives me the tools then to write the tailored programs. So we look at stuff like orthopedic assessments, core and postural and nerve assessments. We get into the resetting the nervous system, and that's through the infant development patterns. And then we've also got primal patterns, which is all things like your lunge, push, pull, bend, squat, twist and gait. So looking at all those movement patterns, seeing where the body is avoiding particular things, or if it's holding any type of trauma or past injury, and being able to work through that. So that's a big part of understanding the body is the assessments. And basically from there, those assessments become our baseline. And when we get into the monitor stage, we keep comparing back to our baseline and making sure that we're getting progress. And then the missing piece that I see in a lot of the health industry is a holistic approach. So what we look at initially is 6 areas. One of them's movement, which is covered in the previous slide. But then we've got the other 5, and they come into being the mindset, breathing, nutrition, hydration, and sleep. And these are the foundational, holistic aspects of someone that we need to really consider, because this actually affects the physical as well. So if your breathing isn't right, that can really affect back pain. If your nutrition isn't right, that can really affect back pain. And it's really important that we look at all these things. And you can see this image here. It's actually a HAQ, a health appraisal questionnaire, and we go through each system of the body, and that gives us a good starting point to implementing all the foundations and all the fundamentals of health, and then we can build up from there. So if we think we need to go deeper into one aspect, we will. We then go into the holistic questionnaires, and this assesses all the systems of the body, including this HAQ that you can see here. All pain is considered, and the more that you can share, the better it is for me to understand exactly what's going on. So, if you've had an injury when you're 7 or a broken arm when you're 15 or something like that, this is all very important, because the body will shift and change in order to protect the injured site. So, and the other thing is that I look at energy centers. So some people call them chakras, but I like to call them energy centers. And this is really important because all our emotions and trauma, it's all stored in our body one way or another. And if we have a build-up of something that hasn't been considered, something that has been pushed down for a long time, it becomes really dense energy and basically a weak spot in the body. So we go into all belief systems, just, belief about yourself, belief around life, all that sort of thing, and find out what beliefs don't serve you anymore and what beliefs could be causing or perpetuating this pain. So then we move into the Tailor side of things. So tailoring is huge. There's nothing generic here, nothing at all. Everything is based on your assessments. So no one has the same exercise programs. They might have the same exercises, but the way it's programmed is different. And that's because everyone is different and your pain is different from someone else's. So it's very, very customized. And basically what I do is I offer 12, 16 or 20 week containers. So that's basically to help move you out of that pain into the strength and conditioning, basically. And like I said, it's a step-by-step process. So we look at, first off, moving people out of the pain, which is what I call phase 1. So phase 1 is a lot of your corrective exercise. And then phase 2 is really the functional movement exercises. And this is basically, phase 1 and 2 are basically included in a 12-week container. The 16 to 20 week, we move more into the strength and conditioning. And the 16 to 20 week are really for high performance individuals and athletes, because they need that extra time to fully make sure when we're lifting heavier weight, is the core and posture still maintained? That's really important, because if you've got no core, you're not really going to get full strength. So, and then beyond the physical support through the tailoring, we've got the holistic support. So this has everything to do with the foundations of health I mentioned earlier, but also we're looking at deep into nutrition. What foods are upsetting the stomach? What foods are creating inflammation? Anything that goes into your body can either support or break down the body. So what we're trying to do is figure out what it is specifically for you that stops inflammation. And if we can stop inflammation, we can fast track healing. And that's a really important thing, because if the core is working properly, then everything else gets better from there. So we want to fast track it by, integrating all these other aspects of health into your exercises programs. And then we also look into like I said before, into the energy centers, and I integrate energy center uh, protocols or movements into your exercise programs, because that will physically help move energy through the body, which is what we need to do if we want to bring up any past trauma. Not that we'll be reliving trauma, but it's more about what belief has been developed that from that trauma or that injury. And do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel lost? Do you feel stuck? So a lot of that is associated with pain, and if we can move through that, that'll help fast track moving out of pain. Then we get into the monitor. So monitoring really comes with accountability. So we're looking at things like weekly sessions or fortnightly sessions, depending on the individual. I do offer in-person and online. Generally, and this is a general thing, people from outside the Gold Coast, I will do in-person and online. If you're on the Gold Coast, we pretty much do all in-person. That way we can go through your exercise programs. And I also, for those who come in to do the one-on-ones in person, then I do a lot more than just the exercise programs. I'll do stuff with like manual therapy and dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. So stuff that's not in your programs that you don't do at home, I'll do in our one-on-one programs. But for a few of the sessions, we are learning how to actually do these exercises, and it gives you an opportunity to not only learn them, but after a few weeks, come in and show me how you're doing, and I can track your progress that way. All your programs are in an app called Everfit, and you'll get free access to this with a 12, 16 or 20-week program. And this basically has all your exercises with your associated videos. So you've always got the support there. You've got exercises to do every day. And we basically make it work for you. And then I offer people 24/7 support via WhatsApp. So if you have any queries, any questions, you can just text me. If you're unsure about a movement, you can record yourself and send me that, and then I can make comments or give you some cues to help you with your corrective exercises. Reassessments. So I reassess every 2 to 4 weeks to basically monitor your progress against the initial assessments. So that was something that I mentioned earlier. If we find that something's not working, then we change it. And that's why all the programs are dynamic. Once I change it on my end, it'll be automatically updated on the Everfit app. And with the reassessments, we're not only reassessing the body, we're reassessing where you're at with the holistic lifestyle side of things. So we're looking at how's your nutrition progressing? How is the mindset? What are you? How's the sleep? So we're tracking that the whole time. And really, the more that you put into this, the more you're going to get out. So I bring, it's a 50-50 relationship. I'll bring what I need to bring and you bring what you need to bring. And the healing and moving out of pain is a lot quicker. And then moving into not only moving out of pain, but staying out of pain becomes a lot easier. And then the last point is educate. So education equals freedom. And that couldn't be more true. If you understand why you need particular exercises, if you understand why your body moves a certain way, then you can choose exercises that will either support or correct it. So a big thing about that as well is you'll have the confidence to look after yourself, and you won't need to rely on weekly practitioner visits for years. That's a big thing I hear a lot is I have a great practitioner. I see them every week or every fortnight, and I have done for the past 2 or 3 years. And my question is, well, is it for the same pain? And more often than not, it's yes. And I said, okay, well, there's nothing really happening then. If you're still seeing the same practitioner, are you actually moving out of pain, or are you just covering up the pain. Like I said before, freedom to do the activities you want, and it's also no longer avoiding them. So a lot of things that I hear is people stop doing their activities. Like it could be a sport like touch football or something. It's like, oh, I've stopped playing touch because of XYZ injury or XYZ pain. So, for me, I don't want that for people. If people want to go play touch footy, we all not only move out of pain, I integrate touch football movements into your functional exercise programs and your sport-specific exercise programs as well. And then it also, like I said before, you remove the fear around particular movements if you're educated in your body and you become more in tune with your body, which is really what it all comes down to. The more you can be in tune with yourself, the easier it is to move out of pain. And then utilizing the tools of health. So you'll learn a number of tools to be able to, with nutrition, sleep, hydration, you learn everything you need to know. And everyone's at a different stage as well. So some people only just need the fundamentals. Some people already have the fundamentals in place, but we need to go deeper. So it depends on where you're at, will depend on what tools we'll use. But what it does is it helps you continue your healing journey beyond working with me. You get to understand why certain foods create inflammation in your body, understand why your optimal fuel ratio is affected by the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And that's through metabolic typing. So we start with there's one of three that you would be of a metabolic type, and then we fine tune it to your needs. So the food that goes into your body is the fuel for your body. And like I mentioned before, the real goal of this is to really help you create more connection to your body, mind, and soul. So a few frequently asked questions about this. Can I do the exercises at home? Yes, absolutely. I provide equipment, so a Swiss ball, blood pressure cuff, foam roller, and a trigger point ball. And so you can do the first sort of 6 to 8 weeks just at home. From there, you may need a few things like resistance bands and some things like that. But if you work out of a gym or you would go to a gym, I'll integrate anything in your gym to the programs. Why are the programs 12 weeks minimum? Well, simple answer is ligaments take 12 weeks to start to shorten or to stabilize. So muscles will start to hold after about 2 to 4 weeks, but we want to continue that. And while we're continuing that, the ligaments will start to stabilize, and they usually take about 3 to 6 months to stabilize. So if anyone's had a torn ligament, they'll know exactly how long it takes. It takes a long time. And then do you work with people outside of the Gold Coast? Yes, about half of my client base are from outside Southeast Queensland. What do the programs cost? Now, the smart ass answer is the cost is the continued suffering if you don't do anything about your pain. But if in terms of the finance or the investment, and that's what it is an investment, because you're not just relying on me to teach you, you're now going to learn how to look after yourself. So there's a lot of, like I said before, a lot of education in this. So that really comes down to what we discuss in your discovery calls, because once I find out what's going on, I can create a bit of a game plan, and then we can tailor it where we need to. But yeah, that really comes down to what happens during a discovery call. How do I know this will work for me? Well, this is a very step-by-step process. I have been doing this for about 7 years now, and I'm very structured with what I do. If I find that something's not working, we change it. If you've got to think of this as like we're starting at the foundational platform, so from the ground up, and doing everything we do in the fluid movement system, the assessments, doing the tailored programs, doing the monitoring, and also doing the education. So understanding why really is what helps move you out of pain. Okay, and it's all deeply based in science, and how to activate muscles, how to activate muscle fiber types as well. And yeah, it's out of the 120 people that I've worked with and moved out of pain, I don't think anyone has gone backwards at all. Um, the only thing that's happened is they've progressed forward, because everything is fundamental, foundational. You have to do this stuff if you want to get better. It's as simple as that. So, what are your next steps? I'm not here to convince you of anything. You're an adult. You can make your own decision, but I want you to be informed about making a decision about moving out of pain, because I know it can be a scary step. I know um, people have a lot of fear around trusting practitioners. Why are you different? How can you guarantee that I'm going to be out of pain? I know there's a lot of these questions. So what I can do is, if you haven't already booked a discovery call with me, is I would like you to fill out the form below, and then we can look at starting the conversation.